Hey guys, I'm Dave and welcome to the Trull Gallery. Today we're going to talk about the problems of using extension cords with your power tools. I want to preface this conversation by saying I'm not an electrician or an electrical engineer. I'm just a guy with a basic knowledge of electricity. I took a electrical course in college, but all I remember from that is Ohm's law. I have no idea what that is, I just remember the phrase. In the early 2000s, I had a job where I sold power tools. One of the first things I learned was that you never plug a compressor into an extension cord. They draw a lot of amps and they run frequently, and the loss of amperage through the extension cord would eventually damage the motor of the compressor. I just never took that lesson to the next level. That loss of power can damage other tools as well. Fast forward to the 2020s, and I'm reopening my shop. Two of my earlier tools were a portable planer and a job site table saw. Now, this is the smallest shop I've ever had, and there are only 3 outlets to work with. The good news is it's just me, and I only use one tool at a time. Or do I? The 20 amp circuit that powers these 3 outlets also powers the shop fans, the lights, my shop vac, and initially an outlet in the house that powered a window AC. Once I figured the AC was involved, I found a separate circuit for that. Both the planer and the table saw draw 15 amps. And the lights and fan and shop vac don't draw many amps at all, so I should have been fine. But here's the catch. At startup, a motor like this can draw sometimes up to 18 amps. And if that motor bogs down during use, it can also jump up a few extra amps. So all of a sudden, those 20 amps that I had available are really being pushed to the limit. If that's not enough, using a long or small gauge extension cord can also cause a loss of amps. And if you go to the big box store to get an extension cord, you might find one that's 14 gauge, but most of them are 16 gauge. And I'm not sure why, but the higher the number goes, the smaller the wire gets. Let's take a look at a couple of charts. The first one shows us that a device that draws up to 15 amps can run on a 14 gauge cord. But we already mentioned the fact that our machines can spike to around 18 amps. For that, we need a 12 gauge cord. The second chart kind of explains why. As the device draw goes up, so does the voltage drop. If you're using a 25-foot long 14 gauge cord for your 15 amp planer, you're losing 1.94% to voltage drop. If that planer spikes to 20 amps, your voltage loss also jumps. Now you're losing 2.58%, and this is what causes our problems. So what's going to happen? Well, the worst case is fire, and we don't want that. More than likely, we're going to trip a circuit breaker. And while that's not a big deal, remember it's more likely to happen mid-cut when a tool bogs down. Now you have to remove your stock, shut off the power tool, reset the breaker, and come back and try again. All of this takes time, probably messes up your cut, and here's the biggie. It damages your machine. How do I know? About 2 years ago, my planer motor burnt out. And I did a little research and I talked to a tech at a local repair facility. He looked at my motor, looked at me, and said, "You've been running this on an extension cord, haven't you?" Every time my motor bogged down or tripped a breaker, I was damaging the motor until it was finally fried. That was a $300 lesson. The good news is you can compensate for the loss of power on an extension cord by using shorter and heavier gauge wires. I made myself a 15-foot long 10 gauge extension cord. And yes, it set me back almost $100. but I know that the motor of my planer and table saw are now protected. And I've been using this giant extension cord for over a year now, and I can't remember the last time I tripped a circuit breaker. And if you're wondering why I never added another outlet, or better yet, another circuit to the shop, it's because this shop is temporary. We just never expected the design process for the new shop and the house to take over 4 years. If this video saves one of you from burning out a motor, I consider it time well spent. Love to hear your thoughts on this video. Was it helpful? Have you run into similar problems with any of your tools? Drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear. If you enjoyed this video, maybe give us a thumbs up and share it with friends. If you haven't already, maybe it's time to hit that subscribe button, the little bell, so you get notified each time I put out a new video. Not real sure what's coming up next, but I'm pretty sure I'll still be a one-armed bandit when it happens. So until then, have a great day, stay safe, and we'll see you soon.